Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special episode because we're gonna start on arguably the most important part of this entire project. We have the Lincoln back in the hoist, we have a really cool 3D scanner, and we have a ton of exhaust fabrication parts. So sit back, relax. We're going to start on the exhaust system. We're not new to 3D scanning in this channel. If you've been around for some time, you know we've used 3D scanning to design our headers and even a dash mount for a field tech. So it's only fitting that when a new Revo Point 3D scanner comes out to track it, we take advantage of the opportunity to take this build to the next level. But before we go there, while we set this up, let's talk about how we got here in the first place. It's no accident this thing sounds damn good. We've laid the foundation for that spine-tingling V10 screen, starting with an even fire Ford V10 at the core. Then we cranked up the compression, added custom free-flowing 4-valve heads, and topped it off with the fully tubular header featuring equal length runners and smooth 5:1 merge collectors. Every piece working in perfect harmony. Now, it's all about sculpting the sound, refining the raw noise into something worthy of the V10 grades. By the end of this video, if all goes well, even the LFA and the Carrera GT might nod in approval. There's going to be research, copying, analysis, and yeah, some winging it. Let's get to work. All right, we got the scanner all set up. We have our, this is the tracker. This thing is a lot more serious than what we're used to. We've used the Morocco and the Metrox in the past. Feels like we're more serious about 3D scanning with this.
Look at this thing.
I have this Halo shotgun looking thing. This is the scanner, and it's got this carbon fiber frame around it with all these tracker, all these markers. And that's kind of one of the key features of this scanner. We don't have to put any trackers or any markers because it's tracking this. The tracker is tracking the scanner via this frame with all these markers. Even though this does look a lot more serious than the other ones, it's still, I think, relatively straightforward and user-friendly. The software we're using is the same Revo 5 software that we're used to, so at least we're very familiar with how that works. So we should be able to just get started, get some scans, see what it looks like. We might have to make some adjustments in some of the setups, but we're going to go ahead and start scanning and see how far we get. You'd expect something this serious to come with a massive price tag, but for what it offers, it's actually very reasonably priced compared to other scanners in its class. And sure, you could go all out and get the full robotic 3D scanning setup, but that's way outside our budget, so instead, we're doing it the hands-on way ourselves. So right off the bat, one thing that we've noticed is that this thing's picking up the scan way faster than all the other scanners that we've tried. So that's gonna save a bunch of time. Like I've been here maybe a couple of minutes and we're already picked up a lot of the data that we need.
It's really cool how it tracks. I don't remember it doing that before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like one of the key things, right? We don't have to worry about tracking. You know, we've been scanning and I've been going back and forth, moving all around the place, and we haven't lost tracking once. There is a distance limit. You actually have a minimum distance you have to be from the tracker, and there's also a maximum distance. It's 1.5 meters minimum, 4 meters maximum. So you just have to stay within that window in order for it to work. And then another thing, because it's tracking the markers on the scanner, you have to be very careful not to block the tracker. Like right now, you can see I'm standing in front of it. Yeah, that goes red, which is helpful because it kind of tells you. And then the computer also tells you it loses tracking. But it's just as easy as stepping away and then it comes right back. So
another thing about the distance, you can move this thing, right? You can set it up to leapfrog, they call it.
Yeah, there's different settings. So you can do one scan from one position without moving the tracker. Or if you have a big enough scan where you have to either move around the piece or just forward, backwards, you can do that, right? And you can do that on the software.
So we're gonna have to do that actually.
We are, because this is much longer than 2.5 meters that it uses. The tracker uses dual laser scanning with multiple scanning modes. While we're using the cross-line mode for a faster scan, you can also use a single line laser mode if you need to capture more details like holes and crevices. All right, we just finished with our first scan. We didn't get everything we needed, but we want to get a feel for how much stuff we have to capture, because we really don't need a lot of detail per se. We just need to be able to have enough to design an exhaust. We can see that the scanner picked up a bunch of noise. You can see all these points that shouldn't be there. But we do see a lot of detail where we need it. So we can see we got the whole drive shaft, transmission mount, we got the center carrier mount, and obviously the tunnel. So
and this was like 5 minutes of
yeah, super quick. I mean, right, and I didn't have to go over it a bunch. I even picked up some trash way out there. I'm not really sure what that is, but clearly this is a little bit of a mess right now. So let's see what this looks like once we fuse all the points. All right, after a couple of minutes, it got rid of all the noise, which is good, but the drive shaft is no longer in the shaft. So something that we did, or maybe something in the settings.
I don't think we got enough points. Remember, it was like very sparse in this area. It needs more point. We could add more.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of goes back to what we've done in the past. We can do multiple scans and merge it all in the software, which is probably what we're going to end up doing. A couple more minutes focusing on the areas that we were missing, and boom. Now we have a scan of the drive shaft that we can merge with the first scan to get a complete underbody model of the car.
This thing really helped out because we had such a big area to scan on the underbody of this, and if we were using one of those handheld things, it would have taken forever, and it scanned really fast, so it really came in clutch. They're wrapping up their Kickstarter right now, and then this is going to be out on the market. So if you're looking for something that's definitely more professional level than a little DIY thing, this system kicks some ass. So thank you to RivaPoint for letting us try this thing out. Let's get this thing into SolidWorks and start doing some CAD.
Now, we could spend a few minutes showing you how we designed the exhaust system in CAD, but let's be honest, that's not super exciting. So instead, let's investigate something more interesting. What separates a loud engine from a legendary one? Everyone agrees that F1 V10s sound incredible, and many say the Lexus LFA is the best sounding production car ever. But what does that actually mean? And more importantly, can we make this Ford truck engine sound just as good? Before we figure out the how, we need to understand what makes an engine sound good in the first place. So here's the plan. We'll take some sound clips from some of our favorite cars and run them through this fancy tool called a spectrum analyzer. This tool gives us a graph showing all the frequencies in a sound. For example, here's what it looks like with a violin. The brighter the line, the stronger that frequency is at that moment. The graph also shows us harmonics. Those are the extra frequencies that stack on top of the fundamental frequency. Each horizontal line represents one of those harmonics. Violins have tons of them, which is what gives them that rich and interesting sound. Pretty cool. So, with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to play all these engine sounds through this tool and hopefully catch a pattern or a clear distinction that we can use to define a good sounding engine, and maybe even use that to tune our own. Let's start with the GOAT, an F1 V10. Tons of harmonics, but the strongest one shows up clearly between 400 and 500 Hz. Now, listen to the other legend, the Lexus LFA. That sound is unreal. The graph looks cleaner than the F1s, but again, there's a strong harmonic right around 500 Hz. How about something wild, like the Mazzei Formula 5 rotor that's been blowing up on YouTube? It sounds amazing. And yep, there it is again, a strong harmonic right at 500 Hz. Starting to notice a pattern? Now, you might be thinking, well yeah, they're all V10s, or close enough, so of course they sound similar. Fair point, but let's check this out. Here's a clip with the same 500 Hz harmonic. Guess what car that's from? A 1965 GTR with an old Ford 302. Bet you didn't see that coming. So, it's clearly not just about engine configuration. To prove that further, here's a Dodge Viper. V10, totally different sound, and the strongest harmonic is down around 200 to 300 Hz. And this Camp Corvette, its graph is a mess compared to the others. I'd say this one is somewhere near the 350 Hz range. And it again sounds nothing like the first four cars. So what does all this tell us? There's a clear pattern. The engines we think sound amazing all share a strong harmonic around 500 Hz. That's our target. That's the what. Now, we just have to figure out how to tune our Ford V10 to hit that.
While that was going on, I finally finished the CAD. The design takes heavy inspiration from the LFA. No merges or mufflers until you get all the way to the back. Ours isn't a center exit setup, so we had to improvise. Starting from the rear, the tips are tuned for a first order resonant at our favorite 500 Hz. From there, we go into a short body muffler to help preserve the high frequency sound. Then straight into our trademark acoustic chamber, sized to hit our target noise. We merge the banks just before that to make sure all the frequencies hit hard into the resonant box. Upstream, both banks stay completely separate with a resonator on each, just like the LFA. And yes, the whole system is equal length, only possible thanks to CAD.
This is Mike here. I was just calling to let you know that we could be calling IRS taxes you.
Dude, did you forget to pay the business taxes last year?
No, dude, that's a spam call.
But I have like 5 different calls from 5 different numbers asking about tax stuff.
Sounds like your data got in the hands of some people who shouldn't have it. There are these data brokers out there that sell your information to scammers. And I bet that's probably how they got Diego's number. I bet your email is full of spam too, because that's another way they get you.
But Jack, if the son of the deposed king of Nigeria asks for help, you help.
And that's why you need to look into today's video sponsor, Incogn. Incogn helps protect your personal info like phone number, home address, email address, and even health details. It makes sure that people you don't know and don't want can't get their hands on your private info. Check out the link below to see all the ways your data can be used in the hands of the wrong people. Now you can try asking to delete all the information yourself. But where do you even begin? And who has time to keep checking? That's where Incogn comes in. It does all the work for you, making sure your info is removed and stays gone. You don't have to lift a finger.
But I use a VPN, so I'm all set.
Not exactly. While a VPN is great to defend your information from getting out, Incogn takes it a step further by going on the offense to actively remove your information that is already out there. You won't be annoyed by pesky spam calls, and your data will be protected from even worse things like online fraud and data breaches, which happen a lot more often than you think. Since signing up, I've seen a significant reduction in spam calls. Incogn has sent over 221 requests on my behalf, and all of them to companies I've never even heard of. If your email box is full of emails from the Prince of Nigeria asking for help, it may be time to take action. Take your personal data back with Incogn. Use code BUILD50 at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan. They offer a risk-free 30-day trial, and that's definitely worth your peace of mind. Thank you, Incogn, for the protection. Now let's get back to work.
All right, before we actually get to fabricating, now that we've established what frequency or what sound we want out of this car, we kind of have to put that into practical terms. So what does that actually mean and how are we going to get there? And we've decided we're going to run a little nerd experiment here.
Yeah, we got to model something and try and see if
a theory is correct.
If we have something here or nothing. We're going to model our exhaust as just a straight piece of pipe here. This is like if you straight piped your car, you'd have your engine here, the tailpipe here. Like every wind-based instrument, the length of the pipe sets up your resonant frequency and the sound that will come out of your pipe. We know for us, at 500 Hertz at room temperature, speed of sound 340, we would need a 7-inch long pipe. That means basically this would be our exhaust. We just have these poking out of the headers, and I mean,
that's just 500 Hertz.
Yeah, it's going to give you 500 Hertz, but we're going to be exhausting in the engine bay. We're going to have to figure out a way to take a longer section of pipe that has a lower resonant frequency and try to bump up that 500 Hertz sound we're going after. So we're going to do some testing. We got this section of pipe here. We got a speaker in a box. We're going to see how this responds by putting in a sine sweep or a frequency sweep on one side and recording the sound on the other. And let's take a look at what it looks like. All right, so we got our results. You can see a big spike here. That's the first resonance of a length of pipe that length. But what's of real interest to us is here around the 500 Hertz, we have a big null of basically no sound. So this doesn't resonate or help that 500 Hertz sound. So we gotta play with that. We have a set length. We've calculated what step we wanna use and the length of the step. And that's going to be this guy right here. We're going to replace this. It's exactly the same length, so the full length doesn't change. We'll replace this section with this and do the same thing. All right, so what we got from that here is this. Now let's put in the old data and see how it compares. This yellow is the straight pipe, no step. The green is our new and improved with that big resonator thing in the center there. And what we see here is in this 400 to 500 hertz range, we got a big boost in sound. So you're definitely going to hear that. That's a lot of increase from just putting that. What we know is that a diameter change and the appropriate lengths will target a frequency we want. So now we're going to put an effect in the exhaust and see if we can get some more, I don't like using the word F1 sound, but more F1 sounding.
Why don't we talk about the elephant in the room here? Let's address the famous step headers,
So
or step pipes.
right, we're saying here a step does do a change and the lengths of those steps make a change. We're tuning this to target a frequency. Now let's just say I replace this section with a larger, slightly larger pipe. So this is about a 1/4 inch bigger in diameter than the inside of this. So we're gonna have a smallish step, but bigger than you would see on most headers. But let's see what that does. All right, so here's what we got. This red is the infamous stepped header here. Now let's compare it to just having the PVC straight pipe. And what you see is not a dramatic difference. There is some change here. Looks like this might have shifted up a couple of hertz, but when comparing with our green big step, you can see how we've really brought up that energy in this frequency area and reduced it everywhere around it, which really is going to emphasize that. So what can we conclude? One, steps do affect the sound, but there's more to it than that. You got to have a sufficient cross-sectional area change to really push that effect up. Second thing is the lengths matter. So where you put the step, how long the step is of your section, all of that matters because it's all tied to the resonances. And for a full system, it's very complicated to model, not so intuitive. So we can take what we've learned here and try to apply it into our exhaust system and see if we can make this Ford V10 sound a little more like an elephant. Here it is, our full exhaust system laid out before we weld it all together. We got a bunch of 90-degree bends and a couple radiuses, our flex pipes and hangers, and then this is all the mufflers we got. For the center resonators, we chose to go with these clean-ass stainless bros. This brushed finish is super nice. We had to work really hard last time to get it this look, but these come just like that. We got these vibrant, like ultra-quiet mufflers that are going to go at the ends, right at the ends of the exhaust system. So that should take out a lot of any high frequency noise we don't want. And then we got this cheapo muffler, and this is not going to be a muffler anymore once we cut this up and gut it, because this is going to be our resonating chamber to target that 500 hertz we're going for. So that'll be a fun project. Now with the CAD, we know what we need to cut. We just got to get now to work, cutting all these pieces, the angles we need, the lengths we need, welding shit together, and we're going to have a full exhaust system in a little while. It's not going to be that fast, let's be honest, so let's get to work. So it's finally time to see who won all these beautiful tools. Someone's about to have a toolbox way more stock than anything we have, so let's see who the lucky individual is. But before we do that, we want to thank everyone for participating. We got a whole bunch of orders. Took us some time to fulfill them, but we got them out there. So let's see who won all these glorious tools. And we have Christian from New Mexico, Albuquerque, the Burke. He got himself a Haynes manual shirt and $1,000 of Incogn tools. Thanks everyone for participating and putting in all those orders. We love seeing it and we love giving away free stuff. So Christian, you're gonna get yourself a free set of Incogn tools.
All right, so we're gonna start cutting all our pipes to make the exhaust. This time we're not gonna go as crazy as we did with the headers, because we'll only have to work with one pipe on either side, and it's a little bit more room. So we're not gonna go with the whole jigging setup and everything, but we still are leveraging 3D printing. So we came up with this jig for all the angles. We have a total of, I think, 10 as opposed to 5,000. So the plan here is we bought a bunch of 90s, and We're just going to plop this in here. We can then mark all the angles that we need to cut. We're going to end up using a combination of the miter saw that we use for the header tubes and also just a good old angle grinder to get all cuts out. We have two sizes of bends because Jack decided to design it that way. This is a short centerline radius. This is a big centerline radius. They're both 3 inches. So I'm actually already 3D printing a bigger one. Should be done by now, actually. But there's a lot more cuts of the small one, so I'm going to get started with this. It's very simple. So like I said, you just plop this in here, keeps it nice and center. I'm actually marking the center of the tube, so when I cut it, I can place it back and make sure it's still in the right orientation. But the idea here is I'm going to take, so if I want to mark this angle, I'm just going to take a pen and just mark my center line here. It's a shiny tube, so it takes a couple times to get the right mark, but there you go. That should be good enough. I don't know how good you can see it on camera, but it's very clearly there. And then we're also using the same setup as with the headers, where we're taking this clamp. I'm just going to put it right where the line is. I can mark it all the way around, and then I'm just cutting this with the angle grinder. So I'm going to cut this angle, and one down, 9 to go.
While Diego works on all the bendy stuff, I'm going to be working on getting all the straights. So I'm coming over to the CAD just to pick off the points that I need for the straight sections. It's really nice having CAD. You don't even have to think. You just say, oh, what is this piece? 135 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and cut myself a 135 millimeter straight section, and that part will be done. So this is the saw we're using. It's just a normal wood cutting miter saw, but we got a metal blade on here. These need a lot less spinning RPM, so the way we're getting away with that is we're using a little Harbor Freight speed reducer thingamabobber, and that slows this down enough to allow it to cut metal. And we use this to cut all the exhaust on the headers, and it's still doing a damn good job with the same blade, cutting this stainless steel pretty thick pipe. So it's been working good.
All right, we finished cutting all the short bends. Jack got all the straights knocked out, at least for the first section. So we're gonna get started on maybe the hardest part of this whole exhaust system, and that's going from the collector through the transmission mount and then out to the back, because we have very tight space by design.
Yeah, we clearanced all of this to try to get them to pass through here because we don't want to go
around it
or around.
Right. So, and it looks much better that way, right? So what we're going to do to make it easy for ourselves, because we have, I think, 2 straights or 3 straights and a couple bends, and we're going to take 1 straight and 1 bend. We're going to tack them together. That way we'll have 2 bends to play around with. We can rotate them so that they fit exactly where they need to fit to go through here. Once we're out in this area, then we got to figure out where to weld the Xpipe, or what that's called?
Yeah, I think Xpipes.
Are they called Flexi? No, I thought that was Xpipe. The other stuff we used.
Oh, this is a
flexible joint pipe. So we got to figure out where we're going to weld that. We're thinking somewhere around here. Originally, we wanted to put them as close to the collector as possible, but we don't have much room in there, and that thing is like 6 inches in diameter. So we're moving them back here. They're going to go basically right in front of the resonators, but we're going to get started with this first section. We're going to tack this in place and move along.
To make things easier, we tacked up each bend to its matching straight section. That way, instead of juggling 6 separate pieces, we only had to deal with the 3 bigger ones when mocking everything up on the car. Each straight section can still spin, so we can fine-tune the angle of each bin before fully welding them together. Before locking everything in, we also mocked up the flex pipe and resonators. This helped us to make sure everything behind the transmission mount was spaced out properly and sitting at the right height.
All right, it's the next day. We finished up this entire section, or well, tacked up this entire section on the driver's side. Up until the resonator, we haven't tacked that in yet because we want to start on the other side before we finish this up. Jack is tacking up the last couple of pieces we had to remake because we found some issues in CAD. But once we get that one tacked in, we'll start on the passenger side. We're going to get it up to this point, same side as this. Once we make sure everything's fitting and everything looks as good as in CAD, then we'll start moving on to the resonators, tacking all that, and work our way back to that acoustic box, which is hopefully the last thing we're going to tackle today.
The passenger side was a lot of the same as the driver's side. Only this time, before tacking the pipes together, we had to make sure we had the right spacing between the resonators and back pipes, as those led into the next part of the exhaust system. With the front part done, we moved on to the back side. Diego handled the angles again while I cut all the straights. This is where things got a little tricky, so we had to whip out the laser level and mark the areas where the two pipes meet for our custom merge. Some eyeballing and sanding, and we got the pipes to meet where we needed them. Don't mind all the makeshift supports we needed to hold up all the piping. Next, we got some small pieces of angle that we had to cut up to finish out the merge section and make it nice and smooth. Could we have bought a merge? Yes. But what's the fun in that?
Now it might look like this hurts flow, but
This is basically an Xpipe.
yeah,
right?
if you reverse this and made the other side, you would literally have an Xpipe. So if Xpipes are make more power, this shouldn't hurt flow, but it's something we'll definitely keep in mind. If the dyno numbers go way down with this exhaust,
might be something we change.
we might have to have two separate flows or figure something else out. But
this is supposed to go into a much bigger area in the box, right?
yeah.
So,
All right, now we're getting to the fun part. This is patent pending, so don't steal it. This is top secret. But we got our muffler. It's an 18-inch body. That should make the good sounds, right? That's what
500 hertz.
That's what ChatGPT says. So ChatGPT says it must be right. If AI tells you to do it, you do it. So we're gonna cut off each end plate, remove all the internal, the packing, the perforated tubes. This has some 2-to-1. It's got two elbows in there. So we're gonna remove all of that, and it's just gonna become a chamber. Then we'll re-put on new plates, and we'll have the Y pipe coming in, Y pipe coming out.
Then out to the mufflers
And then,
and
yeah.
the bumper.
That'll be it. So let's get this cut open.
We chose to start with the muffler because it had the right size we needed and it reduced the amount of work of making a whole chamber. With some finessed cutting and light hammering, we were able to get to the guts.
Oh, there it is. Look. There she goes. Now it's just an empty shell.
Listen.
So you can see here is that merch pipe we made goes into the box, and then that's just going to sit here and then out to
Yeah,
the
that's
exit.
going to increase our frequency by 2.
But this is the idea, and then we spent yesterday cutting the
Oh.
last couple of pieces.
Yeah, we got the bumper on here to
Oh, that's
see
right.
how the tips on this side, but how it's all going to fit. And the plan, right, is to do that.
A loop-de-doop exhaust. So we cut everything out yesterday. We didn't record because I forgot the SD card. But here's the that's I guess the exit of the.
Yeah. So we made a new plate. We've got some stainless. Cut out a new plate. Put on these ram horns. It's gonna go like this. Then we're gonna have one vibrant like muffler on one side coming out and another one on the other side.
So the plan is the plate is gonna be welded back to the box. Then we're gonna mount the muffler somewhere in this area, and the pipes are gonna come out in the exact same location as the stock Continental tips. It's gonna look just like OEM with a little bit of a, I think you can see the butt cheeks here with the rear diffuser on.
Yeah,
But
I think
we'll
we could see it down
Give
there.
people a little tease.
Once we had everything in position and marked out, we started welding on the end caps to the acoustic chamber. Piece by piece, we started to assemble the rear section of the exhaust system and tack everything into place. This was the heart of the system, both for sound and looks, so we made sure to take our time and get things right here. Frankie the Buffman muffler was in place and looking ready for action.
All right, guys, the exhaust is fully tacked up. Last thing we have to do is figure out mounts and maybe some V-bands that we might add in the future. But everything is ready to be fully welded. We're gonna be able to use the stock hangers there, which is kind of nice on both sides.
Now came the fun part of welding this monstrosity all together. We started with the front sections, which went by smoothly. Then we had to start working on the acoustic box, which had all the merges and mufflers attached together, making it much harder to handle. Regardless, Frankie was starting to look damn fresh and buff as ever.
Alrighty, exhaust is fully welded. Jack
Finally.
just reduced its lifespan by what, 5 years or so?
Yeah, this took about twice as long. There's so much exhaust here. Like when you...
It's not like we're building an exhaust for a boat,
It is like we're building an exhaust for a boat.
but it actually came out really good. Definitely got a lot better at welding. All the colors look pretty.
Yeah.
All the welds look really good. Doesn't look like you
Complicated.
blew in through any pipes, actually. so
There's one here, but don't look
don't
at
show that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, this came out amazing. So now, time to bolt this back up to the car and
See how it
See how it sounds.
dude.
there it is, fully mounted in all its glory.
Really tight around the transmission, but we already knew that going in.
Yeah,
It's the price we gotta pay for custom looking exhaust.
it came out pretty good. I really like the back side, how it all came together.
So we got it mounted up on those hangers.
Pretty good.
It's got good, we need to add a couple more supports. I think we're gonna add either some here.
Yeah, we have to support
Or
the
center.
center section, basically. We have a lot of weight that's unsupported, and we
So-
can bring everything up a little bit, which
Yeah,
would
we
be
got a lot of room up here.
we do. So we're gonna bring that up, but this is good enough. It's time to set this car down, turn it back on, and listen to all its glory. Hopefully 500
Maybe.
hertz worth of glory.
Maybe we should have just tacked everything and heard it before we
No.
fucking went all the way.
All right, car is on the ground. It's looking spicy from the back.
Yeah, we took the bumper off.
Bumper's
Definitely
off.
looks unique.
It does look unique. Now you can tell there's something going on in this car.
So should I start it?
Go ahead. It's time. Oh God. All right. Woo. Still loud as ever though.
Is it loud?
When you rev it, yeah. Now the one thing I just noticed, that box we have in there is way too belly. Like it's creating like a bell sound.
This?
Yeah, that. So that thing, it's not working.
So we have to.
It's not working at all. Like it's too thin. Like every time you rev it, you can hear the bell like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Like it's very loud. So that was not it, unfortunately.
Well, what about? Do we continue keeping that volume, or I guess?
I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out what to do there. So now, Leo, go test drive it. Right?
We're gonna try it.
We gotta see if it actually makes a good noise when it's up top.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
Alrighty, we're going for that first drive.
Here we go. First
With
drive
the
with
new
the exhaust.
exhaust.
After the dyno.
It's much quieter in here. It's much more refined.
Alright, man.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Did you guys just got it done now?
What?
Congrats, dude. Congrats.
Thanks, man.
Have fun with it.
Thanks. Oh my God, dude! Oh my God! Oh my! I was not expecting that. Holy shit! When it was approaching, I'm like, oh man, it's not really that loud or screamy, but as soon as he went by, holy f***. Hey, let's see. Holy shit. Oh my God, it sounds amazing. Oh, holy f me, dude.
Really?
I mean, like,
I'm
it sounds like a F1 car blew by. I swear to God. It's.
I'm deaf. I don't know.
Can you wait? You can hear,
I could hear it. Let's go to that freaking.
dude. What RPM did you take it to? Oh, 76? You must have passed by, because when you approach, I'm like, okay. And then you go by like, holy f, dude, I'm shaking.
All right, now it's my turn to hear it from the outside. This guy's still in shock.
I was not expecting that.
Let's do this. No way. What was that? I was not expecting that. It doesn't sound like that from the inside. Dude, there's like a switch that turns on. It literally goes like, holy shit. It literally sounds like an F1 car.
Literally sounds.
It does. I don't know if the mics are gonna give this thing justice. Holy shit. All right, guys, we're still in shock, but I think it's safe to say we did it. Good shit, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Good all right, we're gonna go have some more fun with this thing. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Let's go.